If you thought this NASCAR week was just another race, you clearly haven't heard what went down at Bristol. Michael Jordan just sent a message to Tyler Reddick that got the entire garage talking, and when you hear what he said, you'll understand why. Kyle Larson made a mistake on the radio that changed his whole race, and the way he reacted is something every fan needs to hear. And then there's Ty Gibbs, who just put his name next to legends like Dale Earnhardt and Kurt Busch, and the story behind it is way bigger than you think. Drop a like right now so more fans can see this. Let's start with Jordan and Reddick, because what happened between them after that race could change everything for that team. Alright, so Bristol went down on Sunday and Tyler Reddick came out of there with a 4th place finish. Now, you might hear 4th place and think, okay, cool, solid day. But when you know what happened during that race, 4th place starts to feel like a straight-up win. The dude had problems from the jump. Before the first pit stop sequence, there was a miscommunication on the team, and Reddick hit his marks wrong. That kind of mistake early in a race at Bristol can absolutely wreck your whole day. But instead of falling apart, the 45 team regrouped and started climbing back through the field. And it wasn't just the early mistake either. Reddick was fighting brake issues and steering problems the entire race. Every single lap at Bristol is already physical enough, but imagine doing 500 laps while your car is actively working against you. Reddick himself said it was one of the most physical days he's had inside a race car this season. The guy even joked that he might need to take a day off on Monday just to recover. That tells you everything about how brutal that race was for him. But here's the part that really matters. After the race, Michael Jordan, yes, that Michael Jordan, came up to Reddick and talked to him about the finish. MJ acknowledged how tough those final laps were, especially with Kyle Larson and Ryan Blaney charging on fresh tires. He told Reddick straight up that he thought he might pull off the win, but those guys behind him had too much tire advantage coming late. And then Jordan said something that caught everybody's attention. He looked at Reddick and basically told him that on a short track, a finish like that deserves a hug. That's Michael Jordan telling his driver he's proud. That's not something you hear every day in this sport. And honestly, that reaction makes total sense when you look at the bigger picture. Short tracks have been a weak spot for 23X racing. Reddick already has 4 wins on the season, but those have come at other types of tracks. Bristol was a statement that this team is figuring out the short track game, and the timing couldn't be better. Reddick now holds a 62-point lead in the standings, and the team heads to Kansas next, a track where he's won before. The momentum is real right now. Billy Scott and the entire 45 crew showed they can adapt under pressure, and when your team owner is Michael Jordan giving you that kind of energy after the race, you know the confidence inside that shop is sky-high heading forward. But while Reddick was getting praise from MJ, Kyle Larson was dealing with something completely different. A single misheard word on the radio threw his whole strategy off at Bristol, and what he said about it afterward tells you exactly where his head is right now heading into Kansas. So here's what happened with Kyle Larson at Bristol. And honestly, this is one of those moments that shows you how razor-thin the margins are in this sport. During Stage 2, Larson's spotter Tyler Mon gets on the radio and tells him there are 50 laps left in the stage. Pretty standard communication, right? Well, Larson didn't hear 50. He heard 15. And when you think you only have 15 laps to go instead of 50, what do? You push. You go hard. And that's exactly what Larson did. He started hammering the throttle on his number 5 Hendrick Chevy way earlier than he should have. That burned through his tires faster and messed up his balance for the rest of that run. While other guys were managing their pace and saving their stuff, Larson was already on worn-out rubber. One misheard number completely changed his strategy for that stage. Now here's the crazy part. Even after all that, the dude still won Stage 2. He had already won Stage 1 before the mistake even happened, so Larson literally messed up his tire management because of a radio miscommunication and still swept both stages. That's how fast this guy is. The raw speed in that car is undeniable. But the bigger storyline hanging over Larson right now is the fact that he still hasn't won a cup race in 2026. It's been almost a full year since his last trip to Victory Lane. He's winning dirt races left and right, but in Cup, the wins just aren't coming. Larson admitted before Bristol that celebrating the championship at Phoenix last year almost felt like a win because it's been so long. He said the team is working harder than ever, and he knows they have good tracks coming up on the schedule. The talent is obviously there. The speed is there. But Bristol showed that sometimes the smallest things Literally one misheard word can be the difference. For Larson, Kansas is another shot to finally break through and get that first W of the year. And trust me, when this guy finally gets one, the floodgates are going to open. Now, if you think Larson's story was intense, wait until you hear what Ty Gibbs just did. Because this kid didn't just win at Bristol, he joined a list of names that includes Dale Earnhardt. And the way it happened has a personal side that honestly gave me chills. Ty Gibbs just won his first ever NASCAR Cup Series race, and he did it at Bristol Motor Speedway. Let that sink in for a second. The kid is 23 years old, he held off Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson in the closing laps, and now he's officially a Cup Series winner. But what makes this even more special is the company he just joined. Only 5 drivers in the history of NASCAR won their first Cup race at Bristol: Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Ernie Irvan, Elliott Sadler, and Kurt Busch. Ty Gibbs is now the 6th name on that list. That's legendary territory for a kid who's barely old enough to rent a car. And Gibbs knew it. After the race, he talked about Kurt Busch specifically, pointing out that he was even running the Monster Energy colors just like Kurt did. He said Kurt has been a huge mentor in his career, and being connected to him through this win meant the world. But the moment that really hit different was when Gibbs started talking about his childhood memories at Bristol. He remembered being in 4th grade, watching his grandfather's team race on Sunday, then going back to school on Monday absolutely fired up because Kyle Busch won. He literally grew up in the stands at this track watching his heroes. Now, he's the one holding the trophy. This win didn't come out of nowhere either. In his last 6 races, Gibbs hasn't finished worse than 6th and has 5 top 5 results. He's now sitting 4th in the point standings, and the momentum is absolutely rolling. For Joe Gibbs Racing, this is the breakout moment they've been building toward all season. Look, Bristol showed us 3 completely different stories: a team on the rise, a champion fighting frustration, and a young kid making history. Here's my question for you. Who do you think wins at Kansas next week? Reddick, Larson, or Gibbs? Tell me in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss a single update.